After 16 years, I recently resigned from a company I love for something that gets me really excited. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children 18 plus, you are tuned in to the Loan Officer Podcast with me, Dustin Owen, and my main man,
JC.
John Coleman.
Yo, what's poppin'?
This blue shirt that I'm rocking, homie, holy cow.
Is it Nike branded or is it District?
You know what? I do not believe it's Nike branded, but we can maybe reach out to James Duncan.
Oh, shit. Dropping names up really quick.
Oh, this whole episode is going to be a big name dropping. Yeah, so as I just alluded to in the soft open,
Yeah.
for 16 years, since the financial meltdown.
Of 20-something.
Yeah, that was 2008.
Shit.
I have worked for a company and with people
Yeah.
that I love for 16 years.
It's a long time.
And last week, I resigned. Last week, I sent in an email to the executive team that said something along the lines, I'll paraphrase, please take this as my resignation. Please know my heart is full and I'm grateful. My heart is full and I'm grateful, but it has come time. Everything comes to an end. It has come time for one chapter to close while another one gets written. Yes.
It's famous. I was thinking by Mark Twain, one of your favorite authors.
I don't know if Mark Twain actually said that, but I do like the quote about history doesn't repeat itself, but it rhymes. That is a Mark Twainism.
Yeah.
So no, we're going to dedicate a whole entire episode to this. And here's why.
Yeah.
Because for the past 3 days, my phone, my LinkedIn, my Facebook, Instagram, text messages has been blowing the F up.
I know.
With people wanting the scoop. They want to know, like, Dio, where'd you go? Why'd you go? How did you know it was time? What does this mean to TLOP?
I need you to switch jobs every 3 months because that bump in engagement is doing wonders for the algorithm, Dustin.
Yeah, I will tell you this, John. For 16 years, I was with one employer.
Yeah.
No, my mindset is the next 10 to 15 years, right? Like my decisions were based on the next 10 to 15 years. And I want to talk about it because there's going to be people that, they just want to know, right? People just want to know, like, dude, why'd you go there? What happened? And I will walk you through the thought processes, the emotions, why I chose where I chose, and also answer some questions that I've been pretty consistently receiving, right? So first and foremost, people are going to want to know, where'd you go? Well, I'm rocking the t-shirt. The t-shirt says lower.com. Now, Lower is the brand. Okay, Lower is the brand. Lower is the parent company of many mortgage brands throughout the country. And I think that's the first thing that people need to know. Now, my task, one of my first tasks, and the rest of the executive team and the sales leaders team is we are going to be doing a national rebrand. Okay, so this company excited me because of where they're trying to go. And maybe I should start there. Like, okay, what did it take for me to leave a company that I helped build, that I helped grow, that I helped run, and where I love the people, that they're good at what they do, right? And it's a boutique organization that is elite at supporting loan officers and getting their loans closed, right? Like that is Waterstone Mortgage, and I'm so grateful for those 16 years that I spent. It was going to take something very special and unique to catch my eye, to pique my interest and get me to engage. So the very first thing that piqued my interest was, wow, you all are assembling an all-star team. And I'm going to talk about that in a second. So they were assembling an all-star team. And obviously, there's nothing like a little bit of an ego stroke when they're like, hey, we want you to be a part of our all-star team. I'm like, oh, you see me as an all-star?
That's part of sales, Dustin. Go ahead.
It is a part of sales, I'm sure, right? But they definitely made me feel that way.
Yeah.
And then I was like, yeah, but Lower, like walk me through it and said, okay, well, check this out. We want to be a top 5 lender in the next 5 years. I was like, all right. And I knew from just my studying of the industry, right? Most people who know us, who tune into the show, they know how much I love to advocate on behalf of the industry. I'm really involved in the Mortgage Bankers Association. I'm involved in the Florida Association of Mortgage Professionals. By the way, shout out to FAMP.
Shout out FAMP.
Yes.
Yeah, where my homies at FAMP? You got right into it. Shout out my homie Ant. Shout out all the new TLOPers that we saw. Thank you for coming by the booth.
Yeah, I mean, but we were at that FAMP conference a week ago.
Yeah.
Ooh, on fire. One of the best mortgage conferences.
It really was.
Like in the country.
No bullshit.
And it happens in Orlando, Florida every single year during the summertime. We had people flying in from all over, right?
Yeah.
It wasn't just, oh, this is Florida specific. And because of us doing our thing at FAMP, hey, shout out to California. Yeah, CAMP, the California Association of Mortgage Professionals. We're going to be out at your event next year.
Turn up for a check.
That's John Coleman. So anyhow, what was I talking about?
Nothing. You were talking about onboarding, but FAMP. You got excited because FAMP.
I heard FAMP. I got super excited about FAMP. No, so it was a becoming a top 5 lender in the next 5 years, and I was like, all right, well, but where is this company? Where are you now? Like, oh, well, we're going to do $7 billion this year in volume. Okay, well, if you're going to do $7 billion in volume, I know this from studying the industry. I know that's where I got sideways on FAMP. Is because I was talking about studying the industry. So I'll circle back to that, John. But I know if you're doing $7 billion in production, you're easily in this year in 2024, you're a top 20 lender. So I loved hearing, okay, we're not a startup. Okay, I had no interest in ever probably working for a startup unless somebody was going to like back up the Brinks truck and just unload piles of money, which doesn't happen in today's market, or they're going to like give me 20% of the company. Maybe you could have gotten me to look your way to go work for a startup. And for me, a startup was anyone not doing $2 billion or more in volume. Like if you were not already a top 50 lender, if you were not already maybe in a top 75 lender, you weren't going to get my attention. So this was exciting because they were already a top 20 lender. They were already doing 2 to 3 times the volume that the company I currently worked for was doing. And they had these crazy growth goals. And what I was saying about studying the industry, one thing that I am hypothesizing based on the people that I talk to, the circles I run in, and the research that's being provided, we see the mortgage industry going the way of the banking industry. And we see fast forward 3 or 5 years from now, you get to 2030, there's going to be a top 10 and then everybody else, right? The mortgage industry hasn't really been that way for the past 20 years that I've been a part of it. It's been very fractionalized. Even the top 10 may have only had single digit market share. And when I say single digit, it could have been 3 or 4% market share and you could have been top 5 or top 10 based on where we're going with loan sizes, affordability, margin compression, technology, etc. It is being hypothesized by some very smart people that the mortgage industry is going to go the way of the banking industry. And it's like, if you're not top 10, then you're going to be a part of what they call everybody else. So for me, thinking that, knowing that, looking at where I'm in life and thinking out the next 10 or 15 years, I was like, yeah, I want to align myself with a top 10 lender, right? Because I want to be a force to be reckoned with. I want to be a player and I want to be able to contribute mightily to the industry. So hearing, hey, we're not a startup. We're already doing $7 billion and we're building an all-star team and we want to be a top 5 lender in 5 years. I was like, what? Okay. Piqued my interest. Then I do some research. I'm like, wait a minute. These dudes just raised $100 million from one of the most successful VC firms out of Silicon Valley.
Racks.
Yes. Well, you need racks. You need that money to deploy in technology, marketing, and growth.
Right.
I was like, all right, I need to have a conversation. And it's funny, John, you talk all the time in the show about how the universe speaks to us. And us as people. It speaks to everybody.
People are just dumb and can't read the signals, but the universe does talk to everybody.
Yeah, I think dumb may be a little bit harsh.
Stupid.
How about this? How about they're blind? How about they have the earplugs in? Maybe they just need to take the blinders off and take the earbuds out of their ears.
I don't want everybody knowing the secret of the universe, Dustin. That's what makes me special.
Fair enough. Well, for that reason, keep your blinders on.
Yes.
And
your head not on the
on.
swivel. Yeah.
Yeah, because John doesn't want that much competition. He wants you to make his life easier, not harder.
But it's one of those things in sales. You could tell everybody how to sell, but they still, like, you could tell them the secrets. They still won't follow it. So by all means, please try to talk to the universe and unlock its secrets. You won't make it.
So, and I'll talk about how the universe was speaking, because timing is a huge part of this. And Malcolm Gladwell talks about timing in his book Outliers, which is still one of my favorite books that I've read. And so timing played a big role. The universe speaking played a big role. You know, it took several dominoes to happen before I even was willing to entertain free agency. Do you know I didn't even entertain free agency for 16 years?
Yes, I know.
I mean, I didn't. I mean, I was just like, nope. You know, some dominoes started falling, and I was like, you know what? John Coleman talks about the universe speaking. I think the universe is talking to me, and the universe said, hey, Dio, you love what you do. You love who you do it with, but you need to go and at least test free agency. And then later the universe kept speaking, but I was talking about that VC investment, and I was like, yeah, you need money. And $100 million from that type of VC firm, I was like, all right, let's go. So I started digging. Okay, and as I dug, I got to meet people.
You MMI'd them, shall you say? That was a joke.
No.
It's like you looked up
I
the
actually
production.
didn't MMI. You know what the truth is this? The truth is this. So I first heard of Lower from my friend Amir Syed.
Shout out Amir.
Yeah, shout out to him. Amir's been on the show. He's going to come back on the show in September, by the way.
Oh, shit.
And, you know, Amir's just a stud. He represents the future of mortgage lending. He is shaping the future of mortgage lending just like we do. He does so. It's funny because we're so similar yet so different. And we have products that are so similar yet so different. And some people are like, well, can you two coexist? You kind of have competing products and you're competing personalities. I said, coexist? Dude, it's a partnership. Like, yes, he has what he does. I have what I do. He has his style and my style. But I'm like, we're Dr. Pepper and he's Coca-Cola. Like, if you like Coke, you drink Coke. If you like Dr. Pepper, you drink Dr. Pepper. And many people just freaking love soda. And they flip-flop between Coke, Mountain Dew, and Dr. Pepper, right? So Amir left guaranteed rate a year ago, and he had been there for the longest time, well-oiled machine. I think at one time in the heyday, his team was lean, mean, and close to doing $1 billion in production. And when he went to Lower, I was like, interesting. That's the first time that they like showed up on my radar.
When was that? What year was that? How long ago?
What year ago? Year ago. It was about a year ago.
Okay.
Yep. So it was about a year ago, and you know, I remember driving Amir to an event because he was in town. He and I spoke at the same event, and then he's like, hey, can you drive me to wherever it was, his hotel, the airport, I can't remember. So he and I chatted, and that was just like, cool, piqued my interest. But like my job, your job, our job is to be the most in the know mortgage professionals. Like we are very much a media company here with TLOP, and we're also a coaching company, and we're a sales training organization. By the way, you can check out all that information at tloponline.com if you're looking for sales training. If you're looking for coaching or you want to hire us to come speak at your next event, go to tloponline.com. All right, shameless plug right there. So I think where I was with Amir.
He brought you to the airport, piqued his interest.
It piqued my interest. So, you know, as things unfolded, and this is now the universe speaking, right? So Amir and I are friends, respect what he does. He's been on the podcast. We're speaking at events together. I'm driving him to the airport, and he makes this big move. And he's telling me about Dan Snyder. He's talking to me about this concept of we want to be that lender that successfully marries offline lead generation, which is what we coach and teach, right? That is generating your own leads through referral sources, and online lead gen, right? Online lead gen could be through Google, it could be through SEO, it could be through commercials, it could be through targeted ads on Facebook. But it's like, as we enter into the back half of the 2020s, we get ready for the 2030s, and we're embracing technology and AI and automation, there is this concept of online lead gen meets offline lead gen.
How dare you?
And what's really interesting, again, universe, ready? When my group, shout out to Queens Over Kings, won the MBA's Future Leaders Program, right? This is, by the way, if you're ever looking for a great leadership course and it's intensive, it's also highly competitive to get into. The MBA, this is out of Washington, D.C., their Future Leaders Program, top notch. And I was very fortunate that I got accepted into the program. I got to go through it. There's only like 36 or 40 of us that ever get accepted on an annual basis.
Oh, shit.
But when my group won, and yes, Ryan Black, we won. Ryan Black didn't win. He's a buddy of mine. Shout out to Ryan Black, but he didn't get a chance to win.
Plagiarism.
He came close, right? But he wasn't a part of the Queens Over Kings that won. But one of our concepts was this online versus offline lead gen. And believe it or not, you know who came up with that concept?
You?
Yeah. Like don't get me wrong. Becky, Alicia, Amy, Travis, like they brought it, but that was one of my ideas. So that was in 2022. We're talking about in 2023, a whole year later. that I'm meeting Amir and he's talking about that, and he just left guaranteed rate. It's a top 10 lender, right? Very respectable company. And he's leaving to go to lower. I'm like, all right, cool. Well, then we've heard of this thing called the Green Book, right? Kyle Draper, Brian View, rethink everything
Shout
you
out
know
Kyle Draper,
about
shout out
loan
Brian
origination.
View.
Yep, shout out to those guys. Well, I was a contributor to that. Our girl Kayla Callender was a contributor to that. Mike Ferrazzi, Dan. I mean, there's so many, right? Donna. I mean, I can go on. And I'm sorry I missed your name if, there's like 30 of us.
Yeah, if you wrote, sorry.
But you know who else? James Duncan.
Shout out James Duncan.
So James Duncan, who I shouted out, I think when we first started the episode, James is one of the most forward-thinking marketing minds in the mortgage industry, right? Like this dude gets it. He gets sales, he gets origination, he gets content creation, he gets teaching. He was actually once a high school teacher, and just a well-rounded individual. And James was a contributor. So he was obviously somebody that Kyle Draper and Brian View thought was best of the best, and he wanted that they wanted to have him contribute to the book. Well, you know where he works?
Let me get lower.
Lower. Yes. I'm like, damn. Okay. So when I was flying out to the Housing Wire event with you and the rest of the TLOP crew earlier this year, I reached out to Amir and said, hey, I'm looking at the agenda. This dude, Dan Snyder, is going to be there. Can you make an introduction? Because I didn't know Dan. And you know my biggest concern about meeting Dan Snyder?
That he sold the Washington football team.
Facts. I was hoping it wasn't that Dan Snyder, because if it was that Dan Snyder, there was no way in hell that I was actually going to want to meet with him. Like, just wasn't. And I was pushing for the meeting. Dan wasn't pushing. I was pushing.
Yeah.
I just wanted to get to know him because I didn't know him, but his company, this company Lower, keeps on coming up in my world. And I was like, damn, okay. I'm reading articles. I'm seeing it in Housing Wire. I'm seeing it in Chrisman. I was like, well, let's get to know. So as I got to know Dan, then I start to get to know the story. And I mentioned earlier, like, hey, they talk about building their all-star team of sales executives and leaders. I look at it, and I'm a little bit boisterous, let's say. I'm thinking 1992. It's the Olympics going on right now, right? 1992 Summer Olympics, the first time that the U.S. had professionals playing basketball, right? So the dream team was getting Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, Larry Bird, Clyde Drexler. Who else am I missing from that team? Charles Barkley.
Never heard of him. Yeah.
The real dream team, the first dream team. All of those guys had competed against each other for years. Some of those guys didn't even like each other.
I hate you. Yep.
Yeah, because they were such fierce competitors, but they were coming together because the U.S. was getting their rear ends handed to them in basketball because we only allowed amateurs to play and we didn't allow professionals. And then all of a sudden they're on McDonald's cups. Those cups are collectible. Now, I don't see McDonald's putting any of us on their cups.
Never say never.
But as I got to know the story and I got to witness what they were doing, here's what they were doing. Because I'd never heard of Lower. And many people here haven't heard of Lower. And guess what? Now you have.
Now you have.
Because it's going to be a national name. It's a national brand. And we're going through a national rebrand. Like that is one of the key, let's call them projects that we're going to be working on is a national brand. Because if you went to lower.com right now, you'll see our consumer direct arm, which we do consumer direct. But if we do $7 billion this year, I'm guessing only $1 billion is coming from our consumer direct channel. That means $6 billion is coming from the retail channel. But if you go there, you'll see that Lower, the parent company, Lower is also the company that raised the $100 million from the VC firm. Lower has like these 10 or 12 other brands that depending on what market you're in, those brands are a Lower company, but they're doing business as, AKA DBA, something different. So then here is what really got me excited. Once I found out that, oh, it's Lower, but if I'm in Ohio and Maryland, it's Homeside. Well, I know Homeside, and I know Homeside has a very good reputation because when I was at my old company, we tried to recruit people from Homeside and we couldn't get them to come over. Why? Because they liked where they were. They didn't have any pain. So I was like, Lower owns Homeside. I know Homeside, especially if I'm in Ohio or Maryland. And then it's like, Lower last year bought Thrive. Well, I've known Thrive or known of Thrive for years. I mean, Thrive was very much that boutique, elite lender, still a top 100, probably some years top 50. They were doing $2 to $3 billion a year, just like Homeside was doing $2 or $3 billion a year. But they had that Texas market on lockdown, right? Great originators, great culture, great leadership. So Homeside and Thrive basically come together. Now they come together because they now have the same parent, which is Lower. And then along the way, they pick up Hamilton out of Florida. They pick up Universal out in Denver. And then they have another probably half a dozen DBAs across the country. Like in some markets, you may know Vibe. Okay, VYBE. That's Justin Lapotin. And that's his crew. And they're operating under the Vibe brand, but it's a DBA of Lower. Well, what we're going to be doing going forward? Nah, it's all Lower. It's all Lower, right? Because we want to become a top 5 lender. But it was this cast of all-stars, so I started putting it all together. I'm like, all right, so let me think about this. First, you get Mike Baines and Dan Snyder. Again, not the Redskins, Dan Snyder. This guy's way cooler, way younger, hip, techie. Like, you know, when you meet him, he's probably wearing J's, jeans, and a t-shirt like I'm wearing right now. Okay, so you have those two who founded the company almost 20 years ago. And for the most part, they were operating the retail side as Homeside. And then they merge/acquire Thrive. So through then, you get Randall Gillespie, Chief Production Officer. You get Celine, COO, which they helped run Thrive. Again, another great reputation in the marketplace. They're coming together. Cool. But so now you have Thrive, the best of Thrive, the best of Homeside.
Yeah.
But then they go pick up Amir Syed, like I talked about. Well, wait a minute. The best of guaranteed rate? Yeah, he's one of the best at guaranteed rate.
Yeah.
Then they go and grab Craig Montgomery. Say, I didn't know who Craig was. Okay. Craig was one of the generals, one of the executives at Cross Country. Okay. Cross Country is a very well-respected mortgage lender. They are the #1 retail lender in America. Okay, Craig was there for like 13 years. Craig helped take Cross Country, and it wasn't all Craig. It was, you know, many other great sales leaders because it's always a team event. But Craig's that guy who helped take Cross Country from doing $5 billion a year to like $50 billion a year. And now Craig came on, and then just last week they get to bring Dustin Owen over from Waterstone. So then if you're thinking about doing an all-star team, I'm like, wait a minute. I get the best of Homeside. I get the best of Thrive. I get the best of guaranteed rate. I get the best of Cross Country, the best of Waterstone, plus all of the other divisions and branch leaders that came from where they came from, and we're coming together. Oh, this is Dream Team 1992 with the same mission of becoming a top 5 lender in the next 5 years with $100 million behind it. It took that type of opportunity to get me to leave something that I loved, people that I still love, and something that was near and dear to my heart and special, because what I wasn't having was that opportunity to become a top 10 lender, to build and grow something so unique and special that it will be talked about for years to come.
That's all well and good, Dustin, but nobody cares about your personal journey. People tuned in and they click the thumbnail because they want to know what's going to happen to TLOP.
Okay. It's funny we get this question, believe it or not, the number of texts. Here's what I can tell you about TLOP.
It's changing to lower.
It's not. It is not changing to lower. Look, at the end of the day, I knew when I started testing free agency that the right fit for me and the right fit for you would be a company that looked at what we were doing and they said, damn, I want some of that. Damn, that's awesome. Yeah. I put mortgage companies in 3 categories. I put them in this category. There's the category of, I heard that they might say an F-bomb and I can't attach my brand to that. And that's okay, right? That could be some banks, some credit unions. We're not everybody's cup of tea. I understand that. Yeah. Then you have the other third of lenders out there that they like what we're doing. They see the value and they're not going to get in our way, but they can't come out and just outright support it. But then there's a third of lenders, and I'm talking some top 10 lenders, some top 25 lenders that saw what we were doing, and they're like, hell to the yeah. I want to help put juice behind that.
The real juice.
Because that represents the future of mortgage lending. We love what you're doing. So not only do we not want to get in your way, but we actually want to like collaborate when and where we can. However, no, they're not buying TLOP. TLOP is not for sale. Shit. Unless I told you this, Clayton Collins, if you want to give us a call, you're a media company, we're a media company. Yeah. We could one day have that conversation.
Stroke that check.
But no, we're not selling what we're doing at TLOP to any one mortgage company. And we're not shutting down TLOP because that would have taken away one of like the top 5 reasons that I was probably very attractive to these companies is the right companies love what we're doing. So if you want to know what's going on at TLOP, we're just getting started. Like we are just getting started. We planted our flag about 1.5 years ago. We onboarded the team a year ago, like literally 12 months ago. We onboarded our faculty just 7 months ago. We launched our e-learning platform just 4 months ago. Like we are just getting started. So TLOP is not going anywhere, and Lower did not buy TLOP.
There you go. I got a great question, Dustin. How did you know, after being with the same company for so long, and unlike my situation where they pushed me out of the nest like an angry hawk or something, how did you know it was time?
That is one of those things. I think when you know, you'll know. I honestly think when you know, you'll know.
Don't give me that vague answer. Like you woke up on a Thursday and here's what happened. You were in the office and you looked out the window and was like, damn it, I don't like this drive anymore. You know what could happen for me? Lowers the answer.
Yeah, well, and it wasn't that because I talked to 11 companies.
Oh, shit?
Yeah, I talked to 11 different companies.
Oh, this wasn't your first and only?
No.
Oh,
no,
wow.
no. I talked to 11 different companies and I was very clear with what I wanted. Right. Like I was very clear of the opportunity that would be great for me. Because when I started testing free agency, usually the conversation went like this. Hey, look, I'm very happy with where I am. I make really good money. I love who I work with. But I'm just curious what else is out there. Like that was my initial conversations whenever they started. I think it was March or April timeframe. Okay, that's when it started. And then as I had this conversation, some conversations were 30 minutes. Some conversations lasted 3 months. And as I progressed, I would easily fine tune what it was that I was looking for and fine tune who I felt like I was as a professional. So you asked me like, when did I know? I mean, if I go back to like 2019, and I'm honest with myself and I'm honest with the viewers, if I go back to 2019, I can tell you I was at a point in my life, in my career where I probably wasn't excited anymore coming to work. We had built it. We had a hell of a run. Like that 2010 to like 2019 run was so fun. We were building, we were growing, we had great culture, we had smiles on our face. Even on a bad day, it was a good day. And I found I really enjoyed that. By the time we got to 2019, it just didn't seem like, it was like we were built and we didn't want to build anymore. So I was like, cool, but I love these people. I love this company. We're really good at what we do and I make good money. So I'm like, I'm going to come to work. But at this point, I'm going to put my head down. I'm going to put my blinders on. I'm going to do my job and I'm going to come and go. And so I started losing the excitement. Now, 2020 and 2021 happened. Okay, that was drinking from a fire hose. That was making more money than you've ever seen in your life. So irregardless if you were excited or not, you weren't making a move because the company was getting your loans closed. You were making good money and you didn't have time to think about whether or not you were excited. But in truth be told, I can probably date it back to 2019, not being excited, but coming to work because I worked people I loved for a company that I loved and I made good money, right? So there wasn't enough stress or pain in my life that I was going to be like, oh, I need to get the F out of here. And we fast forward into you and I started having more success with TLOP. I had launched my real estate investment company. Both of those probably stemmed from me not necessarily being excited about going to work. So I was like, well, I need to find some things that excite me and also that challenge me. Truth be told, if I'm having like a therapy session, I probably couldn't have admitted that in 2020, but in 2024 I can. And then, you have various conversations and business planning sessions back in December and January. And you're like, okay, cool. Like, I guess I'm just going to keep on coming to work and doing my thing and giving it my all and performing. But it just sounds like we don't really have any like huge initiatives. We really just want to continue to grow and get 1% better, which for most people, that's all they would want to do, right? Hey, look, we have a good thing. I want to not rock it. I don't want it to be worse. I want it to be better. But it just wasn't like truly for me. And then the catalyst, the true catalyst, I think we all need a catalyst like in our life. We need some kind of a spark that is that moment.
It was me leaving. You can admit it, Dustin. It was me leaving Waterstone.
You did leave in January, John, but you and I agreed upon that. Like I laid out what the group was going to need.
And I was like, I'm out.
Correct. True story. I sat down and said, hey, John, we're doing budget cuts, right? Things are tight right now in the mortgage industry. And if you want to continue to stay employed, We're going to need you to do X, Y, and Z.
And then I looked at you and said, A, B, see you later.
Yes.
I'm walking myself out the door.
Basically, that's how that went down. True story. But no, I was a part of this amazing triad, this group, three of us, co-management. We came into Waterstone together. We built it and what had transpired is we had kind of each grown in our professions and each grown as people. And it was pretty evident that we were no longer truly aligned in terms of like being business partners from a vision standpoint. And
can you talk about that a little bit? Is it like okay? Because a lot of people think like, oh, you must like despise the people.
I love David Holbrook and Mike Smalley like they're my family. I mean, in fact, probably my wife's saddest moment because she was the most supportive. She was like, "Honey, it's time." Like she was the most supportive of this, and she was a great sounding board for me.
Right.
She was a phenomenal like steady Eddie. I can rely on you, bounce ideas off you, and because sometimes, man, I'm a glass half full. I'm an optimist, and I'm also a hard charger. So I can blow past certain details, or I cannot see some potential pitfalls because I'm such an optimist. So she was phenomenal through the whole entire thing. And even she said to me, she goes, man, I hope this doesn't mean that we can't still vacation or do dinners with David and Renee or Mike and Jacqueline, like, because we've grown close. We weren't friends, the three of us, before we started working together. Like David and I were work friends, but Mike and I were getting to know each other back in 2008 is when it was. But you experience life the way that we did. We raised our families together. We vacationed together. Like we became friends. So no, if people are wondering, I mean, I talked to Mike Smalley for 45 minutes yesterday.
Right.
We're going to be competitors. I mean, Mike's now at cross country and I'm going to get to that. And David's going to stay at Waterstone and I'm doing my thing at Lower, but we're going to be competitors just like NBA players are competitors with their best friends who play on different teams or NFL, college, the whole 9 yards. I love watching the Olympics right now, and you see the swimmer from the U.S. beat the swimmer from Australia, yet they're hugging it out because they probably trained together,
right,
although they both had the same goal, which was to beat one another in the pool. I totally see that. I have nothing but love for those two men and our entire team. Like, we have a whole team. It wasn't all David, Mike, and Dustin. We couldn't have done it without an entire team behind us, and those people know who they are. So to answer your question, it's everything's great there. But the pivotal, the catalyst, the light, Mike finally sat down and said, guys, I'm breaking up with you. I'm going out and I'm doing a solo thing. It's time for me to bet on Mike Smalley. And he said, I'm going to cross country because to him, cross country is the Yankees and he wants to play for the Yankees. And we tried to work things out and we tried to figure it out, but we were at a point where it was just time. It was just time. And I said to Mike, I remember sitting down and saying to him, I said, look, I respect the hell out of everything you're doing at cross country. I have a lot of friends who work over at cross country, but for me, I'm like, I would have loved to go and work at cross country 10 years ago. I would have loved to have been there with Craig Montgomery building it from $5 billion to $50 billion. But at this point, they're already built out. At this point, all that territory is already taken. At this point, their leaders are their leaders. And they have some loyalty to the people that have been there longer. I'm like, I want to go find the next top 5 lender, and I want to go there, and I want to be a part of their growth plan, but also because I want to have a say. I want to have a voice. And I think that's the biggest opportunity that people are going to have that start looking Lower's direction. Because look, you may have not heard of Lower, but now that Craig's there, Amir's there, I'm there, the Thrive team is there. And all of a sudden, you're reading about us in Housing Wire, you're reading about us in Rob Chrisman, you're going to these functions, and everywhere you see it's like Lower. Like, I think the biggest attraction for anybody who is looking is going to be, wow, I get to be a part of something great and have a voice. Because that was a big deal to me, too. I wanted to have a voice. I wanted to have a say. I wanted my team, right? Eventually, I'm going to be building out this $2 billion division for Lower. And you got to think about $2 billion, John. That'd make you a top 50 lender. That's just going to be one of our divisions, right? So as I build it out, like, I'm going to let people know, hey, look, Dustin Owens looking for regional managers, branch managers, and select loan officers as we go on this mission. If you're interested, like, I might not be the right person for you to talk to, but I'm going to know the right people. I can get you in contact. Shout out to my guy, Tay Tolliver, right? And that whole team. But my new email address is really easy, dowen@lower.com. Super simple. DOWEN at lower.com.
Dang.
Reach out to me, right? Reach out to me if you're interested. We are not going to be the best company for all people. I don't think any company is the best company for all people, but there's going to be people who are going to be interested in finding out more, people interested in figuring out like, where do they fit? Do they have a chance to come in and be a part of something great and have a voice? And if that's you, yeah, reach out to me. And even if I'm not the right person, I can be your quarterback. And I'll make you one more promise. And this is for my guy, Aaron Hahn, who was on our show.
Shout out Aaron Hahn.
If any of you have ever needed career advice, direction, if you want to talk to someone about what's going on in your career and whether or not a new opportunity would make sense for you, you can reach out to me as well. Hit me up on LinkedIn, first name Dustin, last name Owen. If you're just looking for career advice, you can actually go to TLOP online. And I think, John, you and Mark have a link where you can fill out a questionnaire. Mm-hmm. For the past 5 years, I've been giving career advice. I do so pro bono. And I will tell you, more times than not, my career advice to the people is you're doing everything right. You're with the right company. You just need to double down on X, Y, or Z. That is the bulk of our conversations. Sometimes I will say, hey, look, it sounds like you need to entertain career opportunities elsewhere. And do you know that 6 times out of 7, that career opportunity elsewhere is not with the company I represent? Like I have referred Guild, Ruoff, Churchill, Movement, Cross Country, certain banks, certain credit unions. I've referred New American Funding, especially when it was someone who's looking for consumer direct, right? So y'all should know that John and I with Mark and Nikki are building out an entire like career counseling division that if you just want to reach out regarding career advice in general, I don't mind spending 5 or 10 minutes with you, getting you pointed in the right direction. And as we build out the team of career counselors, which Aaron Hahn's going to help us build out and run and operate, we will be able to do that for you. Right now, we don't have the link, so just hit me up on LinkedIn, first name Dustin, last name Owen. But if you are interested in an opportunity at lower or one of the lower companies, right? Because like I said, in certain markets, they may still be Thrive, they still may be Homeside, they still may be Hamilton, they still may be Universal, they still may be Vibe, etc. Again, reach out to me. And if I'm not the right person, I'll get you in contact with the right person.
Hell yeah, Dustin.
All right, that was a little bit of a commercial and a plug. So my apologies. I'm just a little bit excited.
Yeah, don't be sorry, be better. But here's a story. Here's a story I didn't tell you, Dustin. 2.5 years ago, or 2 years ago, when I was in Columbus, Ohio, they have an MLS team where like old professionals go to finish out their heyday in their career. And the Columbus Crew was playing for like the championship. They actually won. And do you know the name of the stadium they played in?
I do know. Drum roll. The lower.com stadium.
So when I first saw it, I was passing by on the highway, smoking a bowl, and I said, "What the hell is lower.com?" And then I looked to my left, and did you know Rogue Fitness was actually founded in Columbus, Ohio?
I did not know that, but I'll have to tell you this, because any true hardcore T-Lopper, y'all know how much shit I give Ohio, and I give Ohioans.
Oh, now look at you. The universe has come full circle.
And look, I went up to visit the headquarters. I stayed in New Albany, which I had to begrudgingly call my wife and say to her, "Hey, look, we're not moving to Ohio."
No.
But if I ever had to,
stop.
If I ever had
never listen.
No, New Albany, right outside of Columbus.
Did you go to Polaris? No, not Polaris. God damn it.
No, obviously you spent more time in Ohio than I have. But
but don't you realize in Ohio they have massive manicured lawns for no reason? 3-4 acre lawns, ain't nobody in it, no playgrounds. Did you not notice that?
I did not know that, but I do think as much as the universe spoke to me, the universe also likes to take the piss out of me and like jab me a little bit. So now I'm super excited to work for a company that's headquartered out of Columbus, Ohio.
How are you going to fly there? It's not a state. You might have to fly into Chicago.
I bring my passport. I bring my passport and they let me in.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. So I think that was the other question I keep on getting. Oh, Dio, are you moving? No. Like my role, okay, I'm Senior Vice President of Growth. That means I'm going to help the company grow. That is from Spokane, Washington to Key West. Mm-hmm. It's what John and I do on the show. Mm-hmm. What does that mean? I'm going to be coaching loan officers, coaching branch managers, coaching area managers. I'm going to be speaking on behalf of the industry, representing the lower brand, and I'm going to be recruiting and attracting talent who wants to be a part of things that excite me. Again, not everybody wants to be a part of things I'm a part of, and not everybody's excited about the same things that excite me. But like I get to participate in that. I love the fact that, and this was, I used this actually when describing my role in one of my interviews or the courting process. Because you all know I'm a big fan of the play Hamilton. I've gone on to read the book and obviously study U.S. history, especially the Revolutionary War. And I said to Randall Gillespie, right? He's chief production officer. I said, Randall, I want to be the Hamilton to your Washington. And then Amir, I want to be the Hamilton to his Washington. And Craig, I want to be the Hamilton to his Washington because Craig's chief strategy, and Randall chief production, and Amir chief growth. And I get to come in and I get to be their field generals, okay, coaching, teaching, mentoring, growing, speaking, etc., advocating on behalf of the industry, going to MBA conferences, making sure that we have the best relationship with Fannie and Freddie and our various investors. But I'm also going to be building out this $2 billion division. And like that stokes me. Like, I don't want to run a branch. I've done that. Been there, done that. Not interested in running a branch. I'm not interested in running an area or even being a regional, right? Because I very much did that throughout my 16-year career. But what I want to do is I want to help people start their first branch. I want to help people go from being a branch manager to an area manager, or from a branch manager to a regional manager. And I want to teach them, based on my successes, how we were able to do this. And those people who onboard, what excites me is we get to build this out as we grow. I mean, it's already, again, not a startup, but we get to build it as we grow. So,
all right.
Last question. Last question.
I hope to see
like Mike Tomlin. Last question.
My goal for you is this. You know Jake from State Farm?
Yes.
Do you know the guy that does the Capital One commercials with the massive hands?
Does he have a really deep
voice?
Like
that. My goal for you is in the next 4 to 5 years, I'm going to get you on national TV, and I'm going to have you squirming and doing whatever people do on TV, and I'm going to make you a household name.
You think so?
That's Dustin from Lower.
Oh, wow. All right. Well,
I mean, if marketing people want to open their budgets and turn the other way, I can make you a star overnight, Dustin.
I don't think it's about making me a star or making you a star or any one particular person a star. I think it truly is about getting in the boat, rowing together for this same common goal and same common cause. But if you want to turn me into a star, and my stardom is the reason why we become the most admired mortgage company, we become the best mortgage company for originators and a top 5 lender.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, did I drop this nugget?
Probably not.
Our goal too, maybe we want to take the company public. And how cool would that be for so many professionals to go through that journey, if you haven't done so already, to be a part of a company that you are a part of their success and they grow it to a point where it makes sense to take it public? That was enticing.
Let me ring the bell.
They'll probably let like Dan or Mike ring the bell, but John, maybe we can get you an invite. Maybe we can get you.
I am not walking through the metal detectors, man. They're going to pat me down. I'm out. I'm not going through that security.
No, but y'all, thank you for, I mean, look, at the end of the
Dustin,
day.
I'm proud of you, man. Hey, round of applause for Dustin and all the fans out there listening. It's been a long journey for Dustin.
I'll leave you all with this. I'm excited. Obviously, you can hear it in my voice. But truth be told, there's a lot of faith that I've had to deploy. And I'm not saying faith like spiritual faith or I'm praying or, reading the Torah or the Quran. Like, no, not that type of faith. Faith in people. And I choose employers, and probably why I stayed at my previous employer for 16 years, based on the people. I found good people. Those good people I trust that collectively we're gonna work together to build something badass. Mm-hmm. But it took faith. So if anyone is ever in my position, whether it's today or whether it's 10 years down the road or 10 months down the road,
hell yeah.
It took me being open to opportunity. It took me kind of picking up what the universe was putting down for
Mm-hmm.
me. It took a catalyst. Like, I probably wasn't going to break up the band. I probably wasn't going to be the guy that went out and did the solo tour. But once Mike Smalley did that for himself, my wife will tell you Mike did me the biggest favor.
Hell yeah.
He did me the biggest favor because now he gave me permission to go out and test free agency. So there was a catalyst. And am I nervous? Hell yeah, I'm nervous. Am I scared? Hell yeah, I'm scared. But I have learned in life, and especially the books I read and the men and women I follow, that I respect because they're like uber successful entrepreneurs. If it doesn't scare you, it's probably not worth doing. Right? I'm reading 10X is easier than 2X. If it doesn't scare you, then you're probably playing it too safe.
Soft as
So
hell.
I mitigated my risk. I asked all the right questions, but the rest of it's just going to be faith and understanding I've been here before. I've built something great before, and I had a great team behind me. As long as I have a great team behind me or alongside of me, then we'll be able to build something great again. But instead of building something from 400 million to 2.4 billion, which is what I was able to do, let's say the first half of my career, right? That's what we did collectively as a group. We're going to try to take something from 7 billion to 47 billion, right?
Wow.
Like same concept, same principles, same culture, right? Same types of people are going to be attracted to this. We're just kind of thinking bigger, maybe putting some extra commas or some extra digits into those numbers.
And that's powerful shit, Dustin.
So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Y'all, if you only tuned in because you're fans with someone you're friends with someone over at Lower, or you work for one of the Lower brands, and you're like, dude, I got to check out this guy that we just brought on as SVP of Growth, I thank you. Here's what I ask you to do in return. If you like what you hear, if you like what we do, please make sure you do the following. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, okay, the Loan Officer Podcast, aka TLOP. If you're an originator, sign up for our newsletter, tloponline.com. That's where you sign up for our newsletter. Share this, not once, not twice, but 3 times with people that are in your circle of influence that you think would benefit and enjoy the content that John and I produce. And if you are a mortgage broker or a mortgage loan originator and you are looking for coaching, we have 2 ways that we can support you. One is through the TLOP MLO coaching community. The other one is through our intensive 16-week course called LO Launch. The time is now to invest in yourself. Go to tloponline.com and look at what we have to offer. He is John Coleman. I am Dustin Owen. That is all the time we have for you today, but we do look forward to catching you on the next episode. Peace. Sure.